Very welcome to today's consultation hour from the PR team, from the public relation team of the EUKI. It will deal with the importance of taking and publishing good photos, and we will talk about photo rights and why we need certain attributions, or why we need some mentioning and titles of the photos, and why we are so annoying about the photos we are using on the website and for our social media. So here we get a quick overview of picture rights. Mainly, picture rights are divided into two different legal areas. That's the rights of the photographer, of the creator of a picture, and the right of the person portrayed. So frankly, portraits are an exceptional case in the EUKI because we usually, or maybe also you also use pictures for landscapes, buildings, streets, let's say windmills, something like this. But I want to mention this with a portrait because sometimes it's also important when you take a picture of one person. Mainly, this is the very important thing. The photographer, the creator of a picture, holds the copyright forever. That means in the moment when he or she took a picture, he's the owner of the copyright. So we always mention the name of the photographer because that's the person who is owner of the picture. Then we have the person, in this case, a lady, who has been photographed, and of course, she holds the right of her own picture, and she can say, please don't use it, but she can also give the permission to use this photo. As I said, it's an exceptional case, but I wanted to mention it here that you always have to ask a single person who you are portraying to ask the permission to use the photo. So in the case of the EUKI, the photographer gives the right to use his or her photo. So if you publish or distribute a copyrighted work without permission or a valid license, you are committing a legal offense. Namely, it's called copyright infringement. Why is it so? It's simple because we want to protect the creators from having their work displayed, stolen, copied, or reproduced without their permission. But of course, it is possible to use an image that is copyright protected. You just need a license or the permission to use it. But we have to keep in mind, we respect the work of art of the photographer, because we see a picture or an image is a work of art. And anyone who creates an image holds its copyright, including the exclusive rights to copy or to reproduce it. And this is automatically, you don't have to register your picture somewhere in a copyright office or something like this. No, an image copyright exists as soon as an image is created. So the first rule, simply as it is, but also frustrating, if you do not know who is the photographer or the creator of the picture, we cannot use the picture. There is no legal room for interpretation. If we have somewhere some amazing pictures from your projects in our archives, but nobody knows who took the picture, we cannot use them. We need clarification. Of course, you may have good intentions, but simply for us, hosting someone else's work on a website without the permission, this constitutes copyright infringement. So in the other case, if you took a picture, that's fine with us, very good. Or one of your colleagues took pictures and you send it to us. These photos probably belong to your organization, because when you do it during a field trip or during a conference, a photo, you're in your job and you are employed to the company, and you're doing or making this or taking these pictures as an order of the company. So in the moment you take the picture, of course you are the copyright holder, but also the organization, because you take pictures in order of the company. So when you, images or photographs are part of your job, they belong to the firm. So how do we attribute those pictures? Because that's how we show that we know who's a photographer. There are three options. We need the name of the, of course, we need the caption. We need to know what we see. In this case, it's the city of Quito. We need the name of the creator, or we need the name of the organization who holds the copyright, which is now your employer, or in best case, both things, name of organizations and name of the creator. So this is important for us if you took the picture, if you know the person who took the picture. But the main case is that you're probably looking for license-free pictures in the internet. There are millions of platforms where you can look for pictures, and this is I think also important for you to know. There are 4 different ways to get a picture which is license-free. You pay for it. It's paid licensing, and with paying a picture, sometimes there are restrictions. They can't be used for editorial or commercial use. You have to look for this. Then fair use, it's also mentioned on a platform. Fair use means you can only use this picture for educational, personal, or research purposes. And Creative Commons, I will talk about it in a moment, because this is the main part. And we have public domain. Public domain means when an image belongs to the public domain, it means that it's not subject to copyright. An image becomes public domain 70 years after the copyright holder's death. So all pictures can be used without copyright. Okay. The Creative Commons. Mostly you use Creative Commons images. These are images that have been licensed so that they can be used for a variety of purposes. So you probably know lots of these platforms, Shutterstock, Pixabay, Unsplash, FreePic, where you can find license-free or free pictures. It's a very great alternative when it's not possible or practical to get permission from the copyright owner. You don't have to pay for it, but you have to beware or keep in mind how you have to mention, or how you have to attribute those pictures. I will give an example. This is how you attribute pictures from Creative Commons platforms. It's simply called TASL. We need the title, we need the author, we need the source, and we need the license. So name of the picture is Mittelgrunden Offshore Wind Farm Krizolina via Wikimedia Commons, and here is the Creative Commons license. There are 7 of them, and we will provide a closer look or a detailed look to these 7 Creative Commons regulations, and we can share it right now in the chat box, or we can provide it later. And we can provide a list of those platforms where you can find license-free pictures and where you can find image which suit to the demand of social media or for the project descriptions. So if there are any questions to it, please, you can share it in the chat box. And I really have to mention, if you don't know the title of the picture, if you don't know where it comes from, if you don't know the author, the license, okay, but we need the source at least, don't use it. Please don't send it to us. Just send us pictures where you sure who made it. So finally, there are two options. One is a picture from a copyright where you know maybe you took a picture or a colleague took a picture, or you find a picture on a Creative Commons website, and then we need those captions or these titles. This so far. Any questions to this topic?
There was a question on a Canva template.
Yes, so it's my question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it's about because sometimes we use the pictures that are from Canva, just like using their templates or just like for CV or like any other pictures. Is it good that we use this kind of templates? Do we need to add this is from Canva because they also proposing some kind of icons or just like any other things. Do you know this tool and do you understand the question right now?
Yeah, I do, because they have a great archive of photos, but they also take these photos from other platforms, as far as I know. But they also have to mention at least the title of the picture and the author, or where the source, where do they get where they got the picture from. So on Canva, it is always good to look at the information to the picture, and into the rules of Canva, because they probably have a capital about copyrights and where they got the picture from. If it is unclear, please don't use the photo. If they don't provide any information about the picture, it is unsure where it comes from. I mean, you avoid problems with it, because I mean, it's a business for lawyers to look for pictures which don't have any source or any license. I mean, in our case, it never happened, but you never know. So to be on the safe side, just have a look at the we say in German Kleingeschriebenes in the regulations of the copyright. Canva should provide a page where it says where they got the pictures from, and you're on the safe side if you put the link under the photo.
Okay, thank you for clarification.
Okay.
There's a second question, which is about if it's possible to use old archived pictures if they don't know the photographer after a period of limitation. But that was 70 years, you said earlier, right?
Yeah, these pictures are called public domain. These pictures should be very old, because they are for free use after 70 years after the death of the copyright holder. But it also should be mentioned on the page. I mean, there are so many pages. I can recommend Wikimedia. I showed it here, commonswikimedia.org. the pictures are very good titled and explained, and all the information you need are find there. And I can also recommend Openverse, and Flickr is also a very good platform where you can find even the Creative Commons, which Creative Commons does this picture have. If the name of the author of the picture is just an abbreviation, then use that, and you can use always the link to Flickr or any other platform to show where you got the picture from.
Okay, great. Thank you, Oliver.
All right. Let's talk about what is important for which medium, or you can take over.
Thank you. A little introduction of me. I'm Sina. Yeah, as Oliver said, working at the EUKI Public Relations team at the moment, and I do work as a photographer on the side. So if you have any questions, so technical or photography questions later, you're very welcome to ask them. In general, we need your pictures for our social media, our blog articles, and the project descriptions that we are uploading. So it's really important that if you take the pictures, you really think about, does this picture present our project well? And especially for social media, it's good that you take meaningful pictures that really show something, because there it's often 1 to 3 pictures that we use that should be really good. And then for the blog articles that you are uploading on the website on your own sometimes, or if we write articles about projects, we need really well describing pictures that show the people that are working, or the workshops that you did, the conferences that you hold, or the objects that you're working with. So it should be like some eye catchers that describe the project you're working on very well. And then we upload the project descriptions of your project that lasts for a long time. So it's good that we have long-lasting pictures that are really good quality. And I'm going to show you 2 examples on project descriptions right now. So this is one project description that I would like to show you. These are the pictures that are gonna be on the homepage for a long time. So for example, this one is a very nice describing picture, and this one is a picture of a city in Serbia where the project is working. So it's really good quality. It has a good overview. So this is really nice. And then we get a second one. For example, it's Panda Labs. For a Just Transition project, they work with education. So we get a really nice eye catcher on the front, and another very well describing pictures in good quality, good light situation, where you can also have a good impression of the school children that they're working with. And then I will show you one community article. So if you send in a community article, you also often send in pictures, and this one, it could be a little bit better in the quality, but it's very, very nice to see what exactly the project is doing. So here we get a little overview, and then another one here, and then we get some details down here normally. Okay, they don't show up right now. Ah, yeah, now. So we got some detail shots, what exactly had been done, and we got some shots of the people, and we can see their faces. So this is a really nice example for our project descriptions and a community article. I'm gonna share the PowerPoint again. Okay. Yes. So what we have learned in the last years is that we need sharp pictures and good quality pictures, we please you to please focus on the topic that you would like to present, that you don't go too far away or too close to the objects or the people, that there's so like focus on really what you would like to present. And also please have a look on the face expressions, because often people spontaneously take pictures and then the faces are out of nowhere, talking, having their eyes closed. And for us, it would be really nice if you take a moment to catch a picture in a good moment where people are not having their eyes closed or having their mouth open, or maybe also ask them if they could pause for a second that you can take a picture. If you take pictures, lights is your very, very best friend. So if you are outside and you would like to take a good picture, normally people always think it's great to have sun, but actually it's really nice to have a cloudy sky, or to search for a shadow, for example, under trees or in the shadow of a building, to take the picture for your project. So as you can see on the example here, the left one has direct sun and the right picture has a cloudy sky. So the left one has really heavy shadows, and the right picture is very well lighted. So in general, if you take pictures, please remind it's always great to look for a shadow, because also then there's no direct sun in the faces of the people, so they can relax. And also there's no sun from the back of the people, for example, because then all the front of the picture will always be very dark and the back is very bright. Another good example on that is that here you can see 6 pictures and all of them are the same situation, but on different times of the day. So the sun goes up, it's really, it's very beautiful, but we focus on the stones in front of the picture. And then on the third picture, you can also see it's very hard light. There's a lot of shadow. And as more clouds are getting in and the later it gets and the sun goes far away, on picture number 5, for example, there's a really nice, the stones are completely completely out of without shadows and the light is very well. So this is another good example that your light and your situation has a big impact on your pictures. If you take pictures inside, it's always good to use your direct light from outside. So place objects or people in front of the windows, because the sun or the light comes from outside and it's the best light that you can use instead of the light that comes from the normal light. So if you want to take a group picture inside, for example, place the people in front of the window, but not with the backs to the windows, like that their faces are facing the window and you are in front of the window, and then that the light from outside comes in and you can use that one directly. And then this is a little reminder that because many of you are working with solar panels or housings or windmills, that they can be exciting as well. You can use perspectives, you can use light situation, as you can see on picture number 1, that they use the sundowner, or the perspective on the house can be really good because the picture number 2 shows the house, but it also shows the solar panels. And then on picture number 3, there are windmills, but in a really nice perspective, and they use the colors of the surrounding as well. So also please just have in mind that objects don't have to be boring. You can also make them very exciting. And now I will hand over to Oliver again.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, let's talk about group pictures. Okay, there are good and bad ones. And then now, of course, we show some examples which are, let's say, could be better. Here we on this picture we see a group. Okay, they are nicely sitting there, but you don't know who's part of the group. I mean, in the back we also see persons, but do they belong to the group? Is this a picture of only this men sitting here, or is the whole, let's say, the whole bunch of people are part of the picture? Better put these persons from whom you want to take a picture by side. Let them stand alone. So give them the possibility to shine alone, and don't put them together with other persons who probably don't belong to the picture. This is also an example what you shouldn't do. Focus on the persons. Don't focus on their shoes or on their socks. We want to see the faces. This one is also a picture where you can see maybe the main person, but you don't see the rest of the group. Please center the persons we or you want to capture. So now some group pictures which we prefer. You don't have to show the whole person. It's fine if we just see the body, and we see, of course, which is most important, the smiling faces. And this is also very often we get conference pictures from the projects, and here we asked not to show us pictures from empty rooms. This is not very, well, first of all, not very vivid, and it has no expression at all. This is also a conference picture. What we get, we see back of the head, we see the backs, and this is probably or maybe a picture for hairdressers, but not a good conference picture for us to use. This is a situation which is what we say very vivid, and here you can see action. You can see somebody is pointing to something and people are listening. There's action on the table, and there's there's movement in it, and we see a lot of things. So this is a training situation which really is nice to watch. Here are some more examples of a big picture so that we can get an overview. But here also we have people working on something, and these pictures are nice to watch, and they underline what had happened in the conference. And I would hand over to you, Sina, again, because now we're talking about perspectives.
Yes, perspective is really interesting because you can play with it, but also if you play too much with it, it gets kind of weird. So we please you to keep the perspective at eye level, because it, for example, especially for our reason, it's really is the best scenario to use. It can look a little bit submissive if you come from down under, and it also it's not that nice if you come from the top. Exceptions are if you take group pictures, for example, because often there are so many that you have to stand somewhere higher. Or of course, if you take drone pictures, it's something completely different. But just remember, in general, if you are photographing in a workshop situation, conference situation, try to always keep your camera at eye level. And then we talk about composition. You can play with different cuts of pictures, for example. It shows it. The example shows very well that as soon as you change the cut, the whole impression of the picture changes. So it can be very static as picture number 1, but then picture number 4, picture number 6 is very tense. And so you can play with your object or the people around you to make it more exciting. And yeah. Then another little reminder is that less is more. As you can see on this example, the first picture is really nice, but on the third picture, you have a very detailed shot, and it is very exciting to look at. So try to let out unnecessary information, and try to play with cropping the picture, and so that's how the message becomes more interesting to the people you would like to reach out. And one last tip on image composition is the golden cut. It's very well known. You probably know it. So you can cut your picture in parts, and there are two lines in the middle. And if you place your object on one of the lines, it makes a picture very stable and exciting at the same time. And especially if you have a landscape and there's only one or two objects, try to use those lines to have a direct horizon and also to place the objects in a good manner. And here's another example. If you have a person, it also works very well. It also works very well in portraits if you want to take on the surrounding a little bit. So you can always cut your picture in your head in those parts and then place the objects or people on those lines, and it makes a very nice impression.